Right, so a full year ago, I published a video that actually did really well on the channel called Is Roblox Adding Refunds? And it was mad interesting because it is probably one of the most requested features that the Roblox community wants to see added to Roblox, one of the many that we want to see added to Roblox. But what are the pros and cons of refunds if Roblox were to add them officially to Roblox? Well, today I found a very interesting Reddit post that actually has a lot of answers to that question. But before we get into the video, guys, be sure to subscribe down below. Thank you guys for all the support recently. My videos recently have been doing very well, and it is very motivating to see those happening. So thank you very much, and also be sure to leave a like down below as well. Also help support the content just as much. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So I found this Reddit post while exploring the Roblox subreddit, and it's quite a lengthy one, or at least the original post is, and there's actually a very good answer in the comments as well, or kind of a comment, just a general comment. It's not really an answer, so let's give this a read, shall we? So it's called Roblox should add refunds for game passes of dead games or broken games, and maybe games that have changed a lot. Alright, I've got a lot of game passes, and I even have got some off sale ones. Would want a refund on those, I think. Alright, so first things first, I have played Roblox since 2016. Started as a guest, made an account in 2017, and then made my now main account in 2018. I've got quite unlucky in the game pass rolling deal, and got a lot of games which have game passes on changed heavily. So first, my favorite game when I started off was First Order Star Wars RP, and as you can see, it is clearly dead. I mean, game passes are cheap, but you've got no use for them in a game which is basically a social game with almost no people in it. Probably having about 25 random people during the day, realize it's empty, and then go on another game. Second, Papers, Please. I mean, this game has changed a lot. So first, from what I remember, you can see in one of the badges you pass the border. That border, that was the one where I had fun and bought the game passes on. Also another border too, but I'm gonna talk about it now. But the game has changed drastically. So first it was that, then it had a train deliver you to the edge of a forest, then you had to climb up a hill to reach the border. Third, it was some extra futuristic communist game, and now it's this. I quit at the extra futuristic communist game for obvious reasons, because it went from your average old-timed game to Cyberpunk 2077 Communist Edition. It doesn't help that the game passes are super pricey. Good thing I don't own the grenade though, lol. Although there is new game passes which allow you to get it one of the high rolls in game, the admission team. It cost 100 Robux. Back then, when I was playing, you had to wait like 24 hours to see the results on your long exam you had to take, and if you failed, you couldn't try for a week, I think. So basically, even if this game is kind of back to its old-timey roleplay, kind of sucks. I mean, not really, but it's just too different from before. Third, Gem Galaxies. This game was my bop. Everyone who played it hanged out at the Steven Universe house. People were sitting on the ceiling on those little foundations. I sat there and had a lot of fun, roleplayed sometimes, and then it got copyright striked and turned into Gem Galaxies, which is entirely different from before. It was a Steven Universe 3D roleplay before, with cool animations and cool game passes. Now it's kind of Steven Universe game with no Steven Universe. Before, the game passes had the diamonds. I wasn't waiting for that for so long. Extra characters from the show, basically just cool stuff. Now the game passes are that. It's 50% off, so yeah. And it's really spread out in so many maps. You'd be lucky to find someone random to roleplay with. Fourth, the one I'm most mad about pretty much every border game ever. This game was so fun, but then it changed for the worse. I played it before a kid decided dislike botting it would be a good idea, and it had to be moved. It was still a cool game, then I stopped playing because I got interested in other games. I decided to come back, and boom, the map is so changed. There's a random magical tree in the middle, new lord house floating in the air, just no. Before it was just a castle with a hill in it, where you go up, bake bread, donate to the brick gods, stay alive, and defend against Vikings. A very fun game. Now if you join it, it's just a little too crazy. Like, it was meant to feel like a little retro kind of game, but now it's just a modern game with some studs slapped to it and bad grammar. And to be honest, it feels like a cash grab. Like, they are freaking pets for some reason. Of course, I have other game passes that are trash, but I don't care to talk about them that much. These game passes are basically the most expensive ones I own. And it's extra stupid now because they just suck. Like, it feels like I got the short end of the straw of game passes. But there are people who probably saved Robux for one game pass just for the game to be shut down. People who don't have Robux to buy game passes. People who don't have money to buy a device to play Roblox on. So, basically, to sum this all up, I know it's pretty wrong. This player is understandably upset because of how their Robux was spent on game passes that have changed over time or belong to games that have changed over time. And this is obviously a situation where Roblox refunds would thrive, giving people back the money since the worth of the product is no longer what they pay for. However, there is of course arguments to this, very valid ones as well. You know what I mean? Like, when you buy a game pass, when you buy anything in life, you take that risk of buying that. You take that risk of buying a game pass. And in the future, that game pass might not work. The game could change. The game could be deleted. You know what I mean? So, I do understand where this person's coming from. I understand their frustrations because they're a bit unlucky with their game passes especially. So I do feel kind of bad for this person. But at the same time, it does happen to a lot of people. You know what I mean? It does happen to a lot of people. Buying game passes are a risk. It's something you buy to get something back, but it's still a risk. There's, however, a very interesting comment that explains what the cons would be of refunds, and this is actually a very logical comment. So listen to this. In real life, if you buy a toaster and 3 years later it stops working, are you able to get a refund for it? Absolutely not. There's a reason why stores have refund policies. You can't just get a refund for something you bought years ago. Buying something and it being useless 3 days later is an example on when you should be entitled for a refund. But 3 years later, that's out the question. And that right there is why they won't ever do refunds. The only reason they're doing refunds now is just because they got sued for it. Don't think Roblox is gonna make this a normal thing to give out refunds. So yeah, obviously as that person stated, you can actually contact Roblox for refunds. Okay, you can do that. It's just a very long process, which people actually make theories about and say that Roblox does that on purpose to actually discourage people from even trying to get refunds. But you can try and do refunds. You know what I mean? Using Roblox support, which is just terrible in itself. So, has this person used the example of a toaster? That's what we're gonna use. So, if you buy a toaster, as they said, and it stops working after 3 years, you won't get a refund for it. And the reason is obvious and logical. You bought the product, used it, and then it broke. That isn't the production company or the selling store's fault, and it isn't necessarily yours either, but you were able to use the product for its main purpose for those 3 years. And like I said, and like they said as well, it's different if it didn't work after 3 days, because then you kind of have a feel for it, but then it stops working just 3 days after you bought the toaster. So there is a perfect situation of where you should be able to get a refund, So if we're going to use it in a Roblox sense, there's tons of game passes that use false advertising, false information. These are especially the shady games, by the way, about their game passes. And then Roblox should allow easy refunds to take place. None of this going to their support emails and stuff like that. Easy refunds should be able to take place. But that's just not how it is, I guess. But as I said earlier, if your game passes get changed, or maybe it works but it wasn't what you expected, then you shouldn't expect a refund. You bought it, and as I said before, you take on the risk of buying it, and you have to deal with that. But like this even goes for avatar items. The same thing applies. You know what I mean? Now, it's also important to note, and this is something I'm sure a lot of you have probably thought about as well, developers need to be paid. So getting a refund after even just 1 year it's just unfair on these developers as well, because some of them actually make a living off Roblox, some of them not, but everybody needs to get rewarded for what they do on Roblox. It's how Roblox works, not only as a platform but as a company as well, and gives people opportunities to make money or to make Robux at minimum. But yeah, what do you think about Roblox adding refunds to Roblox? Of course, I'm not saying it's happening, but what would you think if it were to happen? Do you think it would be for the better or for the worse of the platform? And how do you think they could do it in the most effective way? I also just want to take this moment before we end the video to kind of preach to you about valuing this Roblox. Obviously, this person in this Reddit post is very unlucky, and you can understand their frustrations, but at the same time, there's nothing they can really do about it. Seriously, don't go buy everything under the sun and then expect it to either last forever or to work forever. There are plenty of these fake Roblox game passes out there that seem legit, and by the time you've bought it, it's too late. Your Robux is gone and you've got literally nothing in return, and it would take you ages to get a refund back. Some people wouldn't even bother getting it back because of how long it would take to get back. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys, be sure to subscribe down below for, I don't know, 3 years of good luck, because yes,